It's Sunday, it's week 7, and it's time to continue some North American Pro League action. We're going to start things off today with a little bit between Envy and Denial to begin things off here today, Toli. Recently, Envy obviously roster changes galore. We've seen Omega now in the jungle. We've seen across the way as well. We've seen Cyclone go back to the solo lane here, but they're going up against Denial, who are above them in the standings already and already defeated them in week 5.
A lot of changes in Envy's roster. Denial sitting right now at 5th, 7-7. Envy is at 6th, at 7-11. Both these teams are trying to not make the relegation. Denial has a better chance at trying to break the top 3. It's going to be very difficult for them, but it's not out of the question.
And that's a big story, is that Denial still can make the run for the top 3 for DreamHack here. Envy's a little bit more unlikely because of how many games they've played already this season. Denial really need the 2-0 here to try and stay in contention for that.
Envy currently 2-8 in their last 10 games. They've been struggling a lot of jungle changes as well. They split against the Legions. They split against Randozas. Not the bottom two teams currently in the North American standings, so it's looking very rough for EnVyUs. Denial also has a rough schedule ahead of them. They have Soar after, Luminosity after, and Enemy.
So they've got the big 3 ahead of them as well. So going into this one, definitely Denial need to find the wins here. Let's see though. We're going to go into picks and bans straight away and see if Envy can do anything. Still looking to go in.
Benji made it out. Xenotronics over the wall. We'll take out Eonic. And now dashing Chronos. Xeno finds a double kill.
Mace in the face, turning back around, Mass in the jungle though. He just two-shot him! Gonna look to try and dash away, but the ball's already there. And Benji recognizes that, doesn't use his dash, ults in place, gets the stun, turn around, kill 2v1. So picks and bans, Tolly. Predictions in terms of what Envy will ban here.
In terms of what they'll ban, they're going to focus out Mask. They're probably not going to allow him to play Thor and Naja, but I'm sure that he's expecting that, and he's going to probably lean on more mobile gods such as Serket and maybe Mercury.
I'm surprised you didn't say Isis in the ban there, because that's exactly what Envy does every single game.
Envy does consistently ban out Isis, whether or not it's Stealth not wanting to play Isis or whether Envy's not comfortable playing against Isis. We've seen that a consistent pattern out of EnVyUs.
It's just something down to Stealth, because we used to see it when he was on the old Cloud9 team as well. Envy with the first option here, and obviously this is the first week since we've had the meta changes. We've seen a little bit out of all these teams, and what's started to come to fruition now in terms of like junglers and such. Nothing really changed in the solo lane as much though, totally, for now.
Nothing really changed, and speaking of no changes, Envy's going to stick with that Isis ban, which is really surprising to me because Isis is such a good god, aggressive early on, and EnVyUs having the talent that they have, if they get a good early lead, then they can snowball that. Bakasura being banned for Denial.
And Bakasura has been banned every single time Omega's been in the jungle this season. I guess a lot of people are expecting him to run that Baka in the jungle and look to try and potentially snowball the game from that.
You have a lot of mobility with the speed buff, getting the boards instantly with the Eat Minion, the mid Harpies as well, ping-ponging between from one jungle camp to the next. It's a good ban for Denial, recognizing that Omega is very comfortable on Bakasura, played it numerous times in the Sol lane. Envy is going to first pick Sol.
Now Sol this year, we've seen it a lot on MLC Stealth. However, since we've seen Omega in the jungle here and Eonic heading back to the support role, we've seen Kiki picking this up a couple of times as well. Very defensive in that the Hunter role for the time being. It seems that Envy's plan is to focus on the other areas and just let the Hunter be and try and farm out.
It's not a bad first pick for EnVyUs when you can flex it. Denial responding with a Sobek. They recognize that Eonic loves Sobek as well, so that's some good aggression that they're taking away from EnVyUs. Also picking up Janus. I really like this as well. It's going to limit the aggressiveness from EnVyUs.
So what's the matchup between Sobek and Athena like, just on paper? I mean, in terms of team fights and laning phase, because all season we've seen Eonic pretty much on Athena Sobek the entire time, and I expect to see him probably go to that here. Is the Sobek better for this?
Sobek is really good about controlling the laning phase, so Athena wants to dash clear the wave, and if you dash to clear the wave, then the Sobek can capitalize that, disrupt the flow, interrupt it, and play super aggressive. And right away, we have Apollo and Athena for EnVyUs, so good global presence in the duo lane.
Indeed, and Apollo probably will go now over to Kiki. Then I expect it maybe will be the Sol, but it's going to be Stealth on Sol in the mid lane. Denial with Janus locked in. They'll be looking for a jungler, and it will be Batz here, which has been one of the go-tos we've seen out of Masked and Omega so far this season. Nija and well, basically, actually, as we see that Hercules ban come through, Omega's played Nija, Batz, Hercules, and Thor so far in the Pro League.
And the only god he's won with is Hercules, which is instantly banned from Denial. And now they're banning out Thor. There's not many options for Omega remaining.
Right, what we expected from him? Warrior, Hebo.
We could see actually a different like, we could see a warrior coming out of him. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe an Odin out of him.
Guan Yu.
I don't think he's going to be that bold.
Guan Yu's bad? You know,
in the jungle?
Yeah.
Guan Yu jungle, bringing it back to DJ Pernica's days.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
All right, we'll see.
Chuck's not so much. I mean, if it was
if
F-Dot was with me now, he'll be like, yeah, Chuck, yeah,
Chuck.
It should be every time. Bellona locked in as well for Benji in the solo lane. Bellona picked up by him multiple times this season. This will be the 9th time he's picked Bellona so far.
And you can't really go wrong with Bellona in the solo lane. She doesn't have a direct counter to her. Even if you interrupt her bludgeon, she can still wield a hammer. She still splashes the wave. And in response, Guan Yu is going to get locked for EnVyUs. It could potentially go jungle if you think so.
I mean, we'll see, because obviously we've not seen Guan Yu picked up. Yeah, it's going to... See, I'm so good at this. When you see a solo lane transition to the jungle, you expect to see potentially warriors coming out from
Okay, it's actually Athena jungle and Guan Yu support.
Is that what you think?
Just to make you wrong.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
They don't
want you to be right.
I can't imagine seeing Omega playing Athena jungle, though.
No, I don't see it either. It's more than likely going to... What if it's Vamana in the jungle?
You'll blow my mind.
Guan Yu in the solo lane. Chronos going to be last pick for Denial. Really good late game potential coming out of Denial.
Okay, well, so you mentioned that Guan Yu could be in the solo lane then. What's the matchup? Who's got a better matchup versus Bellona, Guan Yu or Vamana?
Vamana has a better matchup. Guan Yu can easily get bullied out. You have to stay in the laning phase longer than Vamana does, and Vamana could just umbrella ring and run away.
Well, we'll see exactly where the jungler is going to be. What is Omega going to play? Find out as we go into game 1. Benji on his own. Will they get the blue? The toggle hit. A big time ultimate from Stealth Connects.
They've only gotten one so far. CycloneSpin finds a double. They're going to rush right in. Cyclone all the way to the back line. That's going to be a triple kill. He's going right for it. He's got the Quadra if he picks the right target. Quadra kill. Looking for the big one. And it's going to be a penta.
In their past 4 sets, Envy have only managed to find 1 win, and that was against the Randozos. They lost to Denial in week 5. What can they do differently here? It's gonna be Omega in the jungle as Athena.
As Athena.
Damn you, Toli.
We were both incorrect, actually. I was very excited to see potential Vamana in the jungle coming in with a big baby ganking middle consistently.
So what pressure does Athena give from the jungle here? I mean, early game, I guess the taunts can be very impactful. Her wave clear is pretty good in the early stages, but then she's just going to transition to a tank later on.
I expect there's going to be a lot of aggression in the dual lane, so what it's going to allow is Omega can sit on CycloneSpin's lane and alleviate the pressure away from there. The Bellona will have a little bit of a lead early on from levels 2 through 6, and then from that point on, if there's ever aggression in the dual lane, he can ulti on over once he is level 5.
Well, you saw the cameraman highlighting over Wrath there for the jungler of Omega on this Athena. It will help him out a little bit in the early stages. On top of that, look at where his build's going here as well. Going for the Helm just to get some extra protection on lane. It does give penetration too and some nice power.
I like the Wrath for the Athena jungle because it's hard to clear early on, so you kind of supplement that by getting that early Wrath. You're going to be able to do the mid Harpies, Wrath the speed, get into blue buff. You're going to be level 2 off of this play, about 2.5 or so. And then from there, you kind of reset to the Fire Giant Imps and go back to the solo lane if I know Omega.
You can just see the advantage that they've got over in the solo lane side of things from Denial here. They're already on the blue buff. This will go down a little bit quicker, which should see them reach lane faster. And the thing is that Mask is actually going to go straight towards mid lane there to soak experience and look for those left-hand Harpies. We'll see where Omega chooses to go. Is he going to go to lane? And it looks like he will go to the solo lane to soak a wave there as well.
Because the reasoning why he wants to pick up those Fire Giant Imps as well. Denial is going to be able to pick up the left side mid Harpies. Xeno getting level 3 off that.
I was going to say that was close at first. I actually thought there might have been a chance Stealth stole that with the Stellar Burst. Now, obviously, Sol in the mid lane can play relatively safe here. He did take a little bit of poke from Xenotronics on the mark with the Portal and the Unstable Vortex too. There was no follow-up, however, from Masters. Omega now at level 3, going to transition him into a little bit of an advantage over Masked here.
And CycloneSpin also hitting level 3 off that play. When he goes to lane, he's going to be able to safely clear, not getting bullied out by Benji's Bellona, known to play very aggressively. Denial just going to do their back Harpies while they're waiting for the mid lane to reset, while Envy's just going to wait.
Yeah, they're going to stay mid lane and push this wave out first. Now, the ping just came down on the map towards the right-hand Harpies area because Envy's dual lane is actually very pressuring at the moment onto this Chronos and Sobek from Denial. Eonic and Kiki having a good time of things so far at keeping the pressure in that lane, but they've got to be very careful about the Janus Batz rotations.
They do have to worry about the Janus for sure, but the thing is the Guan Yu is going to be able to bunch the wave up while Kiki's going to be able to just use those in-hands with a throwing dagger and safely clear the wave. Right now the Chronos and Sobek can't realistically contest the wave compared to how aggressive Eonic and Kiki are playing it.
And you mentioned joint picks and bans as well, the global presence they would have had in the dual lane if they ran Athena and Apollo. Well, they've got global presence everywhere with Omega now on this Athena in the jungle. He can potentially let people go for a fight and then turn up for that one, or even gank a lane and then still turn up for a Gold Fury defense.
Omega's going to hit level 5 here. We'll see if there's going to be any aggression on any side of the map. If anything, it might be in the solo lane. CycloneSpin is very low.
He is kind of low at the moment. Got his ultimate available. You can see channel actually from Omega, and he was thinking about it for a moment, but Cyclone's like, no, he's too far away, and he's still got his ultimate. So a good call from Envy not to waste the global of Athena.
And with that, Benji having an advantage, still having the Eagles rally while CycloneSpin's ultimate's down, and he has to give up the wave under tower. If he lets the wave enter the tower, then he'll just lose a little bit of gold of the melee. He'll still clear the archers. Benji's not going to look to play aggressive, however.
Well, first trip back to base comes out for Master. He's gone straight into Warrior Tabby. Meanwhile, you also did see Xenotronics head back as well. Only got tier 2 boots at the moment, however, not managed to complete those just yet.
Soulstone on the Janus. I believe he also picked up the purple pot, and that's why he poked out MLC stuff a little bit earlier on when it was just the 2 mages in the mid lane.
And Dirty Play Helmet also picked up for Omega in the jungle on that Athena. So no real mobility other than, I guess, the speed buff. We've got to take that into account. The speed will allow him not to have to get boots so early, I guess, in the Athena.
He wants the physical defense for whenever they have an engagement against the Batz and the Bellona. If they look to play aggressive in the solo lane, then those are the 2 major physical gods that they have to worry about. Picking up that early on is going to allow Omega to survive, allow to soak up the damage so the rest of the team won't have to. Eonic will be there also with the sustain. Stealth won't take that damage, which is very important.
Well, Master Benji already combined to pick up the speed buff and the blue buff. They'll find out the red buff is just going the way of Xenotronics too. So they're actually looking for both sets of mid-harpies, which they're a little bit early for here. Surprised we didn't see any sort of potential for a speed buff or blue invade coming out from Denial there if they would have recognized that.
Speaking of invades, I'm surprised Omega wasn't going to go for an invade when he has Wrath. He can easily steal a buff with the Wrath and then ulti away if he ever wants to.
A little bit of trade out for these Harpies. They have reset one more time, but 4 members of Envy being here will make sure they go the way of the blue.
A lot of aggression. Eonic taking more than half of his health off of that one unstable Portex. His heal isn't that high right now, so the sustain's not coming online, but once he gets a little bit more levels, that kind of poke will get instantly negated, and speed up being started by CycloneSpin.
Yeah, so Cyclone going to start this one up, soak it up with Stealth and Omega as well, give it over to Omega more than likely here. I don't think anybody else really needs that for the time, and well, they've also got buffs there as well, so good splitting coming out from Envy so far. Let's go to the grass, because we've not seen a kill yet, but I just want to see if there's an experience lead at all, and there isn't. It's pretty much even.
No, a little bit of a goal lead in terms of EnVyUs. Credited to the Wrath right now, 400 gold ahead. They're able to clear a little bit quicker and then ping pong between the lanes. They got the first set of Fire Giant Imps, but now Denial, they got the second set of Fire Giant Imps on Benji, and now the third one also gets credit to the middle and jungle.
So what stage of the game are both these teams to really start looking to initiate things? Is it one waiting for mid-game, late-game, or are we waiting for somebody to really go off early here?
What's going to happen is some team is going to get poked. Dash, taunt, connecting onto Xenotronics. He has not much mana, but he's going to be able to take the portal to safety.
Very patient of him as well not to waste his purification there. Just realized he would have been able to still go through that portal afterwards. There was no real follow-up coming out from the side of Envy. But Omega on point with his first taunt of the game as they head towards the Gold Fury and look at potentially starting something there as he saw the boys of Denial heading into the right side jungle. But wall coverage is good, and Shadowq showing his face on that Sobek means there won't be any further advance.
And we talked about what's going to set the game off, and I believe that the matchup in the solo lane between Benji and CycloneSpin is going to determine where the game will go from here. Benji's able to clear the way first. He can either keep bullying CycloneSpin here, or he can out-rotate him here. And like I mentioned earlier, Omega's going to try to alleviate this pressure, and he still has his ultimate whenever things get dicey in the jungle.
In the jungle, though, Eonic is getting dicey for him. Has to use the cavalry charge. Vetium looking for the last hit. 1 or 2 will be enough. Through space and time, just off the mark as well. Eonic will escape with the barest amount of health after trying to contest a ward.
That was a very nice attempt for Denial, and now they're going to play very aggressive onto Omega. He's forced to ulti. That's 2 ultis for Envy that are now down. The Athena and the Guan. They could force an objective like Gold here at this point in time, especially with Omega backing.
Especially as well with Mast having Fear No Evil still available too. They could look for that one. They've got the zone control there for it. Benji does have teleport. He doesn't have teleport available, so maybe that's one of the reasons why they're not looking.
Another reason is they don't have the escape necessary through space and time if things ever get really dicey.
So just playing it safe for now. Still no deaths on either side so far. Right Harpies have spawned. This will be the very first set of right-hand Harpies going the way of Denial this game.
And they're cutting the lead a little bit. Both teams not invading. Both teams not going for Go Fury. Ward being placed in the middle lane.
He said invading.
As well.
CycloneSpin was looking towards the speed buff, contesting the fire imps, looking for pressure onto Mass. It's good poke onto him. And he doesn't overcommit because obviously used all his abilities there just for the poke angle on Mast. However, there's an opportunity with Omega here. Wrath is available to look at the speed buff, and Eonic has turned up with Shadowq. Eonic going to take a little bit of poke here, but it looks like he's going to have to give this up to the Wrath power of Omega.
And this is what you have to do when you have Wrath. You might as well use it. It's up every 60 seconds. You can easily do the speed buff. Your ultimate is down, however, but we do have a taunt onto Benji. No follow-up, however.
Yeah, just a taunt onto him. Cyclone had the abilities available to follow that up, but they chose not to. Instead, a little bit of poke pressure, and now they're going to get the blue buff as well. Meanwhile, Denial, they opt for the left-hand Harpies instead of trying to defend their own jungle. Actually, no, it's a red buff.
It looks like it is indeed a red buff in bait. We have Sprint being popped by Envy. They're trying to get into position to maybe counter somebody, maybe steal the red buff in time. Doesn't look like it.
So red buff for speed and blue, definitely in favor of Envy, right?
Well, 2-1, so favoring
Good block
Envy
onto
here.
Eonic again, going to eat the unstable Vortex, but dashes away and heals. Once again, forced to cavalry charge, but masked with a very good jump to the monkey. Just didn't have the damage with the overhand smash to pick up the kill, but he will try and invade these boars.
So they got the boars, they got the red, they traded their speed and blue. Slight favor to Envy, however, they did force the Guan ultimate and the purification out of MLC Stealth. He's poked out as well. Can they find first blood?
Well, he's in disapparate form right now, but the overhand smash time to perfection. He'll pick it up. Omega going to get a turn off into Mass, forcing the purification. So first blood goes the way of Denial, and so far it seems to me that Envy have been winning the battle of the jungle, but when it comes to the fighting stage of things, the picks have gone the way of Denial.
The way Denial played it also was really beautiful. They forced the Guan Yu ultimate, and Mass was so patient waiting for that immunity for him to finish from MLC Stealth. He didn't even use Fear No Evil. He just waited for the guaranteed overhand smash. He still has that ulti for an objective or in case there's another jungle encounter coming up.
Wingblade online for Eonic now as well, gone for that sort of build before finishing off his boots, which we've seen multiple times. People call it the Jigs option, as he was one of the first players to do it. Across the way, though, Shadowq invested into Reinforced Greaves for the extra tankiness you'll get from them, and looks like he's heading towards Sovereignty next.
And that's how you can tell like which players play with each other. Eonic and Jigs, very good friends. They play together very often. They share thoughts and ideas between each other. Jigs was the first one to kind of publicize this kind of build, and Eonic kind of sharing it.
I'm just keeping on the levels because we're starting to hit level 12 now, and the second relics are starting to come through. Meditation online for Cyclone to go with the teleport. Meanwhile, Benji not headed back just yet on that Bellona for his second relic, so we'll just see what he ends up going for there. Do you expect some meditation out of him as well?
We could see Dash Taunt not connecting as Batz runs away. Pluck onto Eonic as he gets portal through. Unstable Vortex connecting as well.
Eonic will fall down to Xenotronics, and that was the EnVyUs that went aggressive there. Stealth relied on Omega to land that taunt and immediately threw out the Supernova, but now with the man down of Eonic, they're looking for pressure onto Stealth. He's going to manage to get into disapparate form to avoid the pluck, which will save him, and Omega ults him as well, as Benji's going to swing around, realize they're all falling back, but this could be an option for Denial to look towards the Go Fury.
And now CycloneSpin proxied the wave and he's invading around. Had he rotated, he might have been able to pick off Xenotronics. Xenotronics getting taunted, no follow-up damage, however.
Oh, but Omega's now been isolated because Benji came around the back. The portal will slow him down, and Omega gets bursted heavily from the unstable Vortex. Cyclone finally turns up, but through space and time will only keep Xenotronics alive for a moment. You know why? Bluestone Pendant.
That's right, Bluestone Pendant credited for that kill. As Kiki's thinking about starting this Go Fury, he does have MLC Stealth with him. We do have Mass being very low. He has to be careful. CycloneSpin can chase him down. Doesn't invade, doesn't successfully steal the speed, however.
No, Mass managed to hold on to it, and meanwhile you could actually see Kiki trying to go aggressive with the help of Eonic, looking for a pick on the left-hand side, trying to put pressure onto Vetium, who's keeping them all busy, as Shadowq is now rotating to the left here to support, but the red buff is under pressure here. Shadowq is looking for poke damage onto Kiki with the follow-up of Vetium in tow. They do actually defend the red buff because of that.
Kiki forced to dash, still has his purification, however. It looks like EnVyUs didn't elect to start that Go Fury with a lot of pressure on the right side of the map. They could have potentially exploited that, got an early Go Fury around the 10-minute mark, and that would have opened some doors for them.
Now there's a funny thing, Mast got the speed buff for his team, but never had chance to go and pick it up, so he got denied.
And the reason why is because CycloneSpin was staying in there. Even though he was getting poked out a little bit by Benji, just by standing in that area, Mast doesn't want to come there because getting hit by one armored umbrella, a knock up into umbrella ring, he would have died in that situation. And it's not worth risking his life just to maybe pick up the speed buff.
So 20% movement speed not available for Mast. He did get the golden experience, so as Omega will get his own speed buff now, so a little bit more mobility for this Athena. Athena, who has Shoes of the Magi online, looking for the breastplate of Valornex. So start your first couple of items generally damaging if you're a Guardian in the jungle, and then you're looking to convert that into full tank later on.
It depends what you want to do. In this situation, Omega just wants to survive the early game damage from Mask and Benji, and then transitioning that into the penetration is also really good. If you get hit by the shield wall from Athena, that's going to do a lot of damage, and now transitioning that into some CDR is going to allow him to get off a lot of dash taunts to set up for the rest of his team with Stellar Burst.
You mentioned transition and builds there, but Transcendence now coming out for CycloneSpin over in the solo lane. This has started to rise over for the solo lanes a little bit more this season. Mana regen as well as a massive amount of power that you don't normally expect.
We do have an engage by Mask, forcing out the purification from Stealth. Eonic's going to get plucked. Unstable Vortex not coming through, however, and he might be able to get away.
Through space and time, going to get fired, but immediately the cavalry charge will get him away from the danger. Xenotronics has been really on point with these portals today. The ground ones especially have always connected with the target he's looking for.
He got the portal through. Unfortunately, he didn't have his Unstable Vortex available to him to guarantee that kill onto the Guan Yu. However, Denial is very good about consistently not picking off Eonic, but just getting him out of the team fight, forcing the cavalry charge away defensively. And because of that, Eonic's level 9 and Shadowq's level 10.
And it's also because the fact Guan Yu has that conviction heal, which is so powerful in the team fight, so you can poke him out enough that a conviction won't heal him all the way back up. He's going to have to return to base, which means the whole team is going to be lacking healing. Well, Shadowq is here at the right and Harpies. Stealth going to walk around the corner and find him. Shadowq may get picked here, potentially as Omega swings around, but it is a Guardian after all. It's not an easy thing to bring down, but the Harpies go the way of Envy.
I like the positioning that EnVyUs did there. They had Stealth kind of bait himself going through the top side, and then Eonic and Omega were on the left-hand side, coming around through middle. Xenotronics recognized this, just portaled the way. He didn't want to get dash taunted. He did have Purification and Sanctuary at his disposal, but he elected to play it super safe.
While we tune in with Xenotronics here, has Doom Mob online at just under 25 stacks, 26 now, after he helps clear up that speed buff. So he's getting there. Meanwhile, his opponent across the way in the lane, MLC Stealth on the Soul, he's working towards that Book of Thoth here.
The Book of Thoth is really good for a Soul specifically, just to have the MP5 and a little bit of the mana, the damage more importantly. You're looking to go for a mage build, and when you have the Athena to set you up for this, you're better off going a mage build than the attack speed build.
Stealth at the moment, level 12, has a second relic available to him, not gone back to pick it up just yet. More than likely we'll see a Sanctuary come out of him. Most of the time you do on those mid laners. You can see Xenotronics has already picked that up for himself. Blink, however, is online for Masked in the jungle now, which will allow him on that home Batz to engage with the Fear No Evil and then have the somersault to escape.
It seemed like Eonic was a little scared there coming around the corner. He dashed around the corner expecting that he would get engaged on instantly. It's been a pattern that Denial had been doing on him, and he's like, okay, I've had enough. I'm not gonna put myself in a position to get portaled or engaged on.
Cyclone and Benji having a little tug of war over on that right-hand side there, and Cyclone just managed to steal Benji's blue buff and get out of the danger. You could even hear the rally here from the Eagles rally go off as Benji, very annoyed by that. He's trying to turn onto Cyclone. Curse was popped as well, but Cyclone with Omega now in tow. This could be a power play on the left-hand side, though, at the same time as Eonic's in trouble, as is Kiki through space and time fired. And Omega will pick up Benji, but they will trade it out with Kiki on the left.
And in this situation, when you get a kill at the Gold Fury side, this favors Denial. They could potentially squeeze this Gold Fury before the rotations come out of EnVyUs. We do have a teleport, however, a CycloneSpin, because they recognize the potential Gold Fury that could be started.
And Shadowq clearly called out that teleport, so everybody backs away. Instead of going for the Gold Fury where Master and Xenotronics were, they went back to mid lane, pushed that wave into tower, knowing Stealth won't be there in time to soak all that experience in gold. Luckily enough, though, Eonic will be there to actually try and catch up a little bit.
That's very important whenever your Guan Yu support is a little bit behind, that maybe you do give him an extra solo wave just to catch up to the Sobek support. Having that extra heal, the extra level of the heal online could save you in a team fight, so why wouldn't you want to benefit your team?
And you can see the support Eonic there on the Guan Yu. Max Tele Assault first of all, then straight into Conviction, Tele Assault for the wave clear, and obviously Protection Shred as well, which really makes an impact. But on the right-hand side, we're going to see Benji engaging again, forced to Eagles rally. Omega spent a bit of time over in this lane here, and he's now level 15, still even with Masked.
Still even with Mask, however, CycloneSpin is one level ahead of Benji as a result of that earlier gank. And with that, Denial is going to try to bait Envy around the Gold Fury. Apollo doesn't even know about it, but he might get ganked underneath.
I mean, this is a good call from them, it seems, because obviously you've got teleport down on CycloneSpin. Fear No Evil immediately, though, Mez comes out from Kiki, and he'll get away and take to the sky. Also, Omega dunking in. Omega's going to be in an awkward spot. Visha was a little bit too close there. I don't think he realized how close he was, so he took a nice chunk of free poke.
No, Visham didn't understand
where exactly Omega was going to land. Took a lot of damage. Denial not going to look to start a Gold Fury anymore. They couldn't consistently CC Kiki there. I think that the Hunbat's ultimate actually whisked a little bit, overshot the blink, and then max distanced his ultimate, so off the mark there, and Kiki survives.
It's clear as day, because Kiki as well, he had no purification or sprint available for that, so it was just the Mez that saved him, and you can't Mez if you've CC'd already, so he will survive. Buzz being looked at here, and actually it's Vetium being looked at as the taunt does connect from Omega. Trade out between the two. He's going to force the reround on Vetium. He'll go back to the safety of the tower, but Kiki gets plucked in an awkward spot, will dash away. However, the rotation from Master's here, and Xenotronics, and the slow is applied. The portal again on point from Xenotronics. His Janus has been great today.
Beautiful engage on Kiki. They recognized he didn't have the ulti, he didn't have purification. Once he gets plucked into the curse, there's nowhere for him to go. And now with this 5v4 power play, they need to do something here. Benji's rotating underneath, and we have CycloneSpin proxying the tier 1 and tier 2.
Mas just got his Fear No Evil up as well. He's now hanging around the corner, waiting to zone them out. The Monkey connects with Stealth, and immediately Stealth has to disapparate away, which now means that's on cooldown. Mas actually going to turn to the mid Harpies as the Gold Fury is still being done. Shadowq on defense. Eonic's going to charge in, looking for the steal on the Gold Fury. Denial get the Gold Fury. Stealth has to use his Sanctuary now as well, and Mas is going to pick him off by the end of that. Eonic, though, does trade out Vetium and was tanking up most of the Gold Fury there as Benji now swings in.
And now the rotation from CycloneSpin means that the rest of Denial have to respect that. They do get a 1-for-1 trade engaged by Omega. Not going to find the taunt, however, as Denial does a good job disengaging. And they also have to respect the respawn timer of the Apollo that was coming up. So beautiful 1-for-1 and getting the Gold Fury.
I mean, really, it was 2-for-1 because they picked Kiki first, got the Gold Fury, then picked up Stealth. Vetium dies for it. Go to the graphs and you'll see there's a small gold lead now developed, 13 to 1400 experience. Well, it's still marginal, 1,000 gold something, but when you split it over 5 people, it's not as much as you think.
Especially at the 18-minute mark. If this lead happens at the 2-minute mark, then that's a very big
difference.
factor. But this stage of the game is very negligible. Omega hitting level 16 right now, looking to just sit in CycloneSpin's lane as the blue buff respawns.
Omega's looking a lot more confident, it seems, this time around on this Athena. Maybe it's the God choice here, because we saw him on Assassins and never really wanted to seem to engage in those games where he played Assassins. However, on the Guardian, he's happy to go in. Is it the fact that he's so used to playing tanks that he's like, okay, cool, I can go in and tank and stay alive for a wave?
That could be very well it. When you're playing a lot of Warriors and Guardians in the solo lane, and then you transition into this jungle position, why not play your gods that you are most comfortable with? He has a lot of games played as Hercules, a lot of games played as Athena as well, so setting up your team also with a soul, you can't really go wrong here.
Omega trying to defend with Stealth in the mid lane wave, and this tower in the mid lane from Denial has slowly chipped it down to way below half health now. So bit of pressure there once again. Left hand side though, Mas going to swing around onto Kiki. Kiki recognizes it, there's already dashed there, but Mas couldn't find the somersault over the wall there. He was looking for it, but he just couldn't find it.
He tried it, it clipped the wall, unfortunately, too wide was the wall for him to jump over. Denial looking for a potential play in the middle as Shadowq and Mask initiate.
But they do use 2 abilities immediately, the Pluck and the Fear No Evil onto MLC. Disapparate will come out. Good top from Omega though, allows Eonic to return a lot of damage, and Xenotronics, he can't get to a wall at all. Annihilation.
Nowhere for him to go. He didn't expect for himself to get bursted that fast. He used the ultimate a little bit too late. Omega still wants to play aggressive as CycloneSpin is starting the enemy speed buff, and it is taken for Omega.
Stolen again away. Denial having a little bit of a hard time dealing with the speed buff invasions coming out from Cyclone. Even if they do get the experience, they don't get the buff at the moment. 20 minutes in, now it's time for Envy to pressure mid, with Xeno being dead for another 22 seconds here. This will be a free tier 1 tower the way of Envy, and that should even the gold up.
They could have even potentially aggressed even further. They have the sustain out of Guan, they have the tower siege potential out of the Soul, and they have the initiation for Omega. So they have the tools in their disposal to do the sieges. They elected to just play it safe, however.
And the one thing a lot of people underestimate is how much damage Athena can do with her skills. A lot of people seem to underestimate the damage, and that's what looked like what Xenotronics ended up dying to, was the surprise factor of the burst coming out.
When you have a late game Athena online that's tied with the middles, let's say, that damage is a lot, and the CC is even longer. It's about a 2-second taunt at max rank, which is very annoying. You have to use your purification for that. You can't allow yourself to get taunted for that long. Normally, when you're as a support, you have to level your taunt first, and you don't have the damage, or vice versa. You level your damage, you don't have the CC. But when you're coming out of the jungle, you have both the best worlds.
Well, one thing I've learned today totally about the player damage. You know what I've learned? Oh, well, hold that. Fear No Evil comes out. Stealth forced to use the Supernova and try and disengage. He's going to force Mass back, but Eonic's going to give chase with Omega, who's going to ult on top of him. The Guan Athena Wombo Dunk squad is in the house, and Omega will get credit for one. However, Benji making the rotation will force them back one more time for the time being, but a good pick once again from Denial engaging on Envy.
It must feel really good for Eonic right now to finally use his cavalry charge offensively instead of always running away. Beautiful engage from EnVyUs. They didn't allow Mass to get into the safety of the portal. However, Denial still want to play aggressive.
They do look to try and get a bit of pressure on Shadowq, but he didn't have support from his team there, so Eonic will be able to walk away. Going back to the play damage, though, I was about to say, what I found out today, Tolly, this is a really interesting factor. Benji is equal to between 7,000 and 9,000 damage.
It must be over 9,000.
You reckon?
It must be.
Benji equals over 9,000.
Benji is Vegeta confirmed.
But look at the play damage as a whole there. Look at the Denial roster. They're all in the top 5.
That's really
That makes no sense, right?
That's really interesting that Denial have this much amount of player damage. If you look at the items, the Hunbats already has Deathbringer, so he's doing a lot of damage when he lands those crits. If he ever engages onto Stealth, the immunity form has to be used right away. We saw it earlier on in the Go Fury. He hit the monkey bounce, and just the fear of the teleport in-hand attack was too much for Stealth, and he respected that and ran away.
Well, 3 members of Denial have been involved in every single kill. The jungler, the mid laner, and the support, as you'd expect to see for the most part. Meanwhile, 5 kills the way of Envy, a couple of them involving 2 members at least for the most part. Govfury has respawned though, and Kiki trying to keep it out for the option, but Shadowq going to make sure the ward is cleared around those left harpies.
And despite Denial getting that earlier Gold Fury, they're falling behind a little bit gold-wise. They did lose their tier 1 mid tower. They're getting out-farmed a little bit. They're losing some members here and there in the later stages of the game, even though Denial were up, I believe, 2-0 at the earlier stages of the game. EnVyUs are making a small and steady comeback.
Well, EnVyUs as well. You saw Omega head over to the solo lane there, and Cyclone switch towards mid and head into the jungle, trying to abuse the fact that he's level 20. I think they're looking to try and get Athena a little bit higher in level just to hit that level 20. So they're giving Omega free farm. I guess it's also because of the fact he's got that global ultimate.
They also want to get him at 6 items right now. He has some very cost-efficient items between the Winged Blade and the Dynasty Plate Helmet. He wants to sell his Bombus Mask as soon as possible, which he does. And it looks like he's going to start into Soul Reaver. Yeah, that's going to do a lot of damage, whoever he hits, even if it is going to be a tank.
This is a beautiful call coming out from Envy. However, Shadowq will find out just in time to see what's going on. But can there be a defense from Denial? They do have through space and time available, which forces a reset. Didn't do that much damage to Eonic that time around. If you notice that through space and time firing off, that Heartwood Amulet has finally come online and really helped him out.
It also hit Kiki in the backhand side. Vetium not able to take the portal, but it's not going to matter. Benji trading with CycloneSpin. Unstable Vortex connecting onto Eonic, doing a lot of damage.
Denial want to fight. They're going in. Benji leading the forefront with Shell, and Eonic charges in with the cavalry charge to split them up. Benji trying to fight the backline with Shadowq, but Mast is pressuring onto Eonic, forcing him out from the engagement as the curse comes down. Benji turns his attention there and will get the bludgeon off to pick up the kill. They're looking to collapse on Benji as Omega's collapsed on by Denial. He's going to have to ult away, but Denial are winning this fight now.
Yeah, there's no more sustain for EnVyUs right now. They're 4v5. They have to respect the positioning control for Denial, and with that, Denial is going to reset. They're not going to look to do gold here, however. They're just going to push the middle lane. The mid tower is extremely low. They want to trade and get their tier 1 tower gold efficiency back on their side.
So they do get that mid tower. They're Master looking for pressure with the Avant Smash. Going to go in on to Stealth as well, looking for the gank potential, but Disapparate saves him for a moment. But this is allowing pressure in mid lane for them to look for the tier 1 tower trade.
They get the tier 1 mid, they get the tier 1 in duo lane, which is very important. Now it is going to be a 5v5 in about 5 seconds, so they could potentially still look for a pick around the corner. Vetium looking to play very aggressive.
They're going to have a man fight between the two there. Rewind comes out from Vetium, which will just heal him back up again. He didn't want to take too much poke. I like the way Kiki played that, but now Kiki could be in a bit of trouble, has to dash. Vetium a little bit overextended, but he did have Shadowq in the jungle anyway for support.
Not only does he have Shadowq, he also has Xenotronics ultimate to bail him out at any situation, and that's why Vetium is playing this aggressive.
Good call. On that one, Vetium will go back. And Kiki, he was poking down Vetium, but then didn't stay in the fight. He waited to poke him and get him low, wait for a few more seconds, because obviously Rewind, it only goes on for a few seconds time into the past, so you don't get as much of a heal.
Not that much of a heal, and Apollo does have the lifesteal with the Yasi, so he could take the trade as well, maybe get some RNGs on his side with the Golden Bow as well.
There's no RNG in Golden Bow anymore. There isn't the crit he's got, though.
No, he does have, like, the short sword, however.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I was saving you. I was saving you, Tom. I wasn't trying to put throw you to the dogs here. Well, with that last engagement, the Gold Fury, Denial managed to get 2 towers, and it worked out well for them. They did find the pick as well onto Eonic, which they were really after on the pick. But now, because of that last one, they can set up one more time. All ultimates available, pluck onto Omega. Not too much poke damage taken to Omega, though. He's very tanky right now. As Benji on the front side is eating a lot from the Envy boys, but he's very tanky too.
Benji taking a lot of damage. That taunt lasts quite a while with the follow-up damage stuff. Looking for the Stellar Burst. Going to get clipped against the wall as we have Denial trying to reset and group up towards the inside circle of the Gold Fury. We'll see if they can look for a pick here.
I have a feeling Denial, though, they've been a little bit patient because they're hoping for their weakening curses to come back up again to deal with the healing coming out from Eonic. But Eonic tanking up the Gold Fury. Shadowq's the only one really here. This is getting very low very quick. And now on the backside, Mask going to blink it with a Fear No Evil. Vitium's looking for the steal as well. Team EnVyUs will get it with the Wrath, however, from Omega coming out to save the day. Shadowq still pushing forward with Vitium and Mask behind him, but Fear No Evil down. Envy disengage after taking the Gold Fury. A very, very good clean play.
Very good disengage. Now, the problem for Denial was the fact that Benji had to back and his teleport was not available for him to capitalize on that team fight. It was a perfect initiation between Shadowq and Mask, the way they did that, as well as Xenotronics cutting across the side with his ultimate. However, with EnVyUs backing, Denial are trying to take advantage of this by getting the tier 2.
And that's why you saw Apollo ult over here. Now the Supernova comes out from Stealth just to clear the minions out, put some pressure on Benji, who's trying to run away there, but Disapparate and Unstable Vortex come out. Eonic keeping 4 members busy on the run at the back here. He will have a slow available soon, but a good stun comes out from Vitium to stop him in his tracks.
And with that, the rest of Denial are going to disengage. They are a little bit low. Envy does have the Guan Yu sustain, and they're going to use it full advantage as they push on to the tier 2. Batz is going to get his own speed buff and waiting for the tier 2 tower to start so he can come in from the backhand side.
Yeah, Mask doesn't have his ultimate just yet, but he should be up relatively soon as Eonic does get ulted by Omega, who was in base there. The dunk will connect, but Benji was up in the air at the time, so Mask Fear No Evil puts Omega into the tower as well after Eonic falling, and Omega's going to dash away. Cyclone trying to keep the backline busy from dealing any more damage to Omega. Through space and time is available and fired by Xenotronics. The train is on its way, and its destination is Omega's face.
And with that, they have a 2-0 advantage to now. What are they going to do with this? Gold Fury is down. They're going to probably reset and go towards the Fire Giant. They have about 50 seconds on Omega, 25 on Eonic. This is a good opportunity to potentially do it. EnVyUs recognizing this, just going to strip away anything that they can in the soul lane side and maybe look for a poke before the Fire Giant gets started.
So team fights go the way, I feel, of Denial every single time. Objectives, global objectives, including mainly the Gold Fury hitting the mid-harpy, seem to be going the way of Denial a little bit more. But then towers, well, that's the way of Denial as well. So far, Denial are kind of up 2-1 in my eyes.
For now, they are up to the Guan Yu sustain is definitely helping them. The longer the team fight goes, the more favorable it is for EnVyUs.
Look at this, though. The Fire Giant's really low already. Cyclone's not even here yet. Kiki couldn't get in range. Denial get a free Fire Giant as the rest of the members were just stood around in the jungle. They weren't there in time. And now Cyclone, under pressure, collapsed on by the whole team here, trying to deal damage, but Mast will get credit for the kill. And now, with the Fire Giant, Denial can start to siege the tier 1.
And we should have recognized that this is the power play that Denial had to do in order to secure the Fire Giant. When you're down 3-5, player-wise, the Fire Giant is open at the 30-minute mark, so they had to be around that corner. They were just very late. Now they're going to lose their tier 1 solo, tier 2 solo tower as well. The Phoenix is in trouble here with CycloneSpin still being dead for 35 seconds.
Well, they do have Eonic and Omega for the front side if they want to. Shadowq, you're going to dash in onto Stealth and force it to Disapparate early. Now turns up Omega, get us a good ton off, but Purification from Vitium will allow him to return damage. Mask, with the Fear No Evil, keeps Kiki out and forces his Purification too. Meanwhile, the Phoenix is slowly being chipped away at and should fall soon, but it's alive for now, as Stealth does turn it around with the Supernova. They're looking for Xenotronics. Sanctuary will keep him alive for a moment, but not long enough for Kiki to find the finger bang to pick up the kill. And now Benji, well, he's under pressure. Denial have overextended. The respawns have not really influenced this for Envy at all. Envy have just 4-manned a 5-man army with Fire Giant.
Now, if they had gotten the Phoenix, that would have been worth, but now they can't even get away because the Wing Blade onto the Athena, you're not going to be able to get away from her. There's a speed buff also on the Apollo, so whenever he dashes, he's boosting the movement speed of the rest of his allies as well. With that, Fire Giant Denial get no Phoenixes, and they lose 3 members in the process.
So where was the blame for that for Denial? Was it the all split up and weren't focusing the Phoenix? Should they have gone for the kills first? They all went on different targets. They found plenty of purifications at the start of the engagement, but that was it. They still lost the fight after.
They did a good job using the Batz ultimate to zone out the rest of the members. They just didn't have anybody stick to it. Vishen was zoned out earlier on in the team fight, forced to purify well, and now EnVyUs is the one that's trying to get a middle Phoenix without Fire Giant. Shadowq is going to disengage, and mid Phoenix is going to go down for Denial.
And so Denial have the power, sorry, for EnVyUs I should say. EnVyUs will have the power play now with the Phoenix being down there. They're going to try and get away from this fight as quick as they can, and they will, but through space and time has been channeled. The army of Denial are marching through the jungle. It's recognized though by Stealth, who gets a very good slow off from the Stellar Burst onto Mast and forces the disengage to happen.
Not able to find the monkey bounce, is just going to reset and do his own speed buff. That's really unfortunate for Denial that they're not able to find anything with it, and in the process lose their middle Phoenix.
So Shadowq is that amount of gold in hand. Shadowq is equal to 1400 gold in hand, boys and girls at home. I like these new graphs, they're more fun.
Oh, now Xenotronics has his own gold in hand. MLC's health has his own gold in hand.
There you go, that's how it works. Back to player damage, and it's Xenotronics who's, well, over 9,000 is Benji. You were correct about that one. Xenotronics is a different story. Gold Fury, though, is about to spawn up for Denial. They've just lost their Phoenix. They've got a Fire Giant online on 2 of their members. It's the Masked and Shadowq, unfortunately, so they don't feel confident enough to do the Gold Fury just yet. Bit of power play opportunity for Envy after the small mistakes Denial have made after the free Fire Giant.
Yeah, now as a response, Denial has to consistently defend their middle lane. They don't want any fire minions flooding into the Titan room, allowing potentially EnVyUs to take advantage of that by backdooring it. You never know, Apollo can always ulti in with the Athena power play.
And now, obviously, Omega leading from the front here, as usual, on a tanky target, so he's not scared to be up and amongst them. But Denial, they're straight at the Gold Fury now, already pulling it, dealing some damage to it already. Shadowq at the front, looking for a pluck if he finds it. Meanwhile, around the back, you can see Omega's position in here. Envy, very late to try to contest this one, but Denial didn't spend a lot of time doing it, and Eonic gets engaged on half health, but the Dunk Squad came out as Omega came in. Luckily, Xenotronics used the through space and time to get away through the pole. Zone create from Shadowq with lurking in the waters as the taunt comes out from Omega. They were trying to focus Benji, who uses Eagle's rally defensively. Nobody falls down.
Nobody falls down simply because they have the sustain from the Guan Yu at their disposal. If we look at the healing from the Guan Yu, I'm sure it's quite a lot.
We've also got meditation as well. 14,000 healing in this game done by Eonic alone. You saw the early game from Eonic. He was just under the pressure the whole time.
He was under the pressure, but it doesn't matter when you get to this stage of the game as Guan Yu. You also had the Athena ultimate. When you baited yourself with a cavalry charge, he used his shell before he went in and the sprint, and then he had the Athena ultimate on top of himself. So he's baiting a lot of cooldowns for the rest of EnVyUs to engage shortly afterwards. Forcing the Janus out of that team fight really early on was the key point in that team fight. Not having the consistent unstable vortexes hitting your front line allows the Guan Yu to be more efficient in healing.
Well, 33 minutes in and most of the builds are completed. We're starting to reach final item. 2,600 experience, 2,200 gold. Advantage to Envy, which isn't a lot at this stage of the game, especially when experience is marginally doesn't matter. The only difference is Shadowq and Eonic in terms of levels, but this both still supports.
It's 33 minutes into the game. The only advantage that EnVyUs currently has is the middle Phoenix being down for Denial. They need to find a way to exploit that by using maybe a potential Fire Giant play, forcing the rest of Denial to stop the Fire Giant, and then the middle Phoenix will get flooded by a Fire Minion wave.
It's not a bad idea, especially when you've got Omega with that Wrath available. 3,000 damage of, sorry, free 1,000 damage. I want to clear that up. I didn't say 3,000 damage. Available to actually deal damage to the Fire Giant and trying to execute it there. Though Xenotronics, if he hits a through space and time on that, he can do a little bit more than that. Shadowq trying to create his own onto Cyclone with Blink from Mass. He's going to catch Stealth on the rotation. He was supporting Omega. Through space and time fired, but no. We will see Stealth live, but Omega was forced to ult as well. So a lot of his burst damage is unavailable to go into Omega or Cyclone. Denial, though, they'll reset. They're happy with the small win they got. They did trade out 2 ults themselves.
A lot of damage was dealt onto Stealth and CycloneSpin, but the longer this goes, the more sustained that the Guan Yu is going to be doing. Fire Giant is going to be potentially started by EnVyUs because they know they still have one more Fire Minion wave that Denial have to deal with, and just like that, they're going to start it. Benji is around the corner with Vetium and Mask also.
What can Cyclone do to hold them out? They're going to try and burst damage him down, and immediately Envy engage onto this as Cyclone was being pressured, but now the team of Denial is starting to group up and work as a unit. Envy forced to use Shell and disengage one more time. Benji took a little bit of poke there, as did Mask, so they're going to head back to base and heal up.
A lot of burst damage was dealt onto Vetium. He was just barely able to get off the rewind before dying, and with that meditation, EnVyUs is going to start up the Fire Giant yet again. Shadowq is here, however, Fire Giant at about half health.
Benji teleports to the backside there, Scourge onto the 2 damage dealers, and now we're going to see Eonic isolated once again, has to dash away. But because the big key there was Shadowq. He managed to take out that ward, and they knew they had no sentries available. So the whole time they were in that fire giant, they now knew what was going on and were able to defend as soon as it got anywhere near getting damaged.
And that's just the importance of having vision around these objectives. You're able to know exactly when you need to go in. Because if you don't have that vision and you see the particles from far away, you think like, oh my goodness, they're so late game. Is it low? Is it like less than 25%? And then you just dash in thinking that it's low enough for you to steal. And then there goes your dash. They all turn on you. It's not even half health, and you go down.
Well, the good news for Denial, now their Phoenix has respawned, and the fire minions have been dispersed. So it's back to normal minions in mid lane now. It still will be a weakened Phoenix, but Denial, they took the last fire giant. Can they do the same again, this right-hand side? Cyclone's a little bit overextended here on this right-hand side here, and he's going to get plucked and hit by Athena Weevil and stunned by Vetium. He will finally get Big Baby off as Eonic tries to keep Vetium out of the fight. Cyclone bravely running away through space and time. A little bit off the mark there from Xenotronics, looking for the connection, but Eonic took a lot of poke going in deep to help out his team, but Kiki's going to get plucked perfectly from Shadowq, and he'll disappear off the map.
And we have Stealth coming from the backside, not able to find anything as the rest of Envy is going to retreat. Right side Phoenix might be pressured here. Benchy's going to tank it up for a little bit, resetting to Shadowq. And Stealth did back to base, the Unstable Vortex not connecting. Looks like Denial are not really sure of what they want to do. The Guan you sustain is proving to be a big factor in these sieges.
Top from Omega comes up, putting pressure on Vetium. It did get purification off from Xenotronics as Supernova goes down from Stealth there. It did some damage, but not as much as they would have liked. And it looks like Denial, they want to play it a little bit safer. They messed up at this Phoenix last time round, and they're like, let's not do that again, boys. Let's just take the win.
They should play it safe. Before they got the Fire Giant in a 5v3 play, now it's a 5v4 play. A few members from EnVyUs are a little bit poked out. They're going to look to steal the speed buff away from EnVyUs and look to reposition themselves. Not electing to start a Fire Giant with this power play, however.
Omega chasing down Benji in mid lane, trying not to let him recall, but Vetium is here. The stun will hit, as will Eagles Rally. Masty's there too with Inferno Weaver. Good purification coming out from Omega there, which will keep him alive. And a lot was wasted by the boys of Denial looking for Omega. Eonic, though, is very, very low. Overhand Smash doesn't hit him, but it hits Cyclone. Vetium's in-hands were on point to force Eonic further back, and that means Omega's ult, well, it's going to go onto Eonic as Cyclone falls, and Omega is not on the front line to deal any more damage.
A little bit of miscommunication between CycloneSpin and the rest of his team. CycloneSpin zoning out 4 members. Unfortunately, no follow-up from EnVyUs. Eonic was very low. Omega was forced to use his relic to escape. And EnVyUs had to retreat, CycloneSpin taking a spill, and now Denial have to do something with this 5v4 power play. Not having that big tank front line on the Vamana is going to make the rest of the team fight very easy for Denial.
And this was a similar situation we saw Denial go for the Fire Giant last time. They had no ult on Omega, no ult on Eonic, and Cyclone was dead, and once again Denial will go back to the Fire Giant. Shadowq, the closest person to zone in duty. You see him turn his attention to see who's coming in. And he's got 2 from the left, which is Benji's going to focus on. Shadowq's going to keep Omega busy. Actually, no, he's going to pull Omega into a danger zone there. He's going to eat a lot of poke, but there's the Supernova from Stealth to stop the damage dealers getting to his Guardian on the front, but they're still charging into the jungle here. Denial is the through space and time hits, as does the Fear No Evil. Sanctuary open pop from Stealth, as will the Sprint. Stealth will get out of danger, but I tell you what, Eonic, I don't think he can make it. Oh, you know what? He will, but the portal from Masks will allow them to catch up with Stealth, and now Omega falls to Vetium as well.
And now 3 members dead. Scratch that. CycloneSpin just reviving. 2 members dead. Eonic is very low, having to go back to the fountain. They're going to go for the right side Phoenix during this power play, neglecting the Fire Giant. There's going to be no defense available on the right-hand side, but they're going to have to do something about this mid side.
So where do they go? It looks like they're going straight for mid tower here, not going for the Phoenix or the Fire Giant at all now. Unstable Vortex off the mark. Eonic doing a good job tanking up. Kiki's trying to stay very far back and just finally in hands from a safe distance. Gets a good crit on Mass, but this Phoenix is falling as Vetium is just fully focused on it for a second until Eonic, well, he overextended a little bit and Benji makes him pray with the help of his Hunter player. CycloneSpin back, knocking them up. Pops the Big Baby, but the Phoenix is already down now, and you can see Denial are happy to just walk away with the victory of 2 Phoenixes.
EnVyUs playing on the back foot for the later stages of the game, losing the right side Phoenix and the middle Phoenix without Denial having Fire Giant. They need to be careful about their positioning in the Fire Giant side. Omega was looking for a potential dash taunt early on, wasn't able to find it, gets instantly turned on by Shadowq's pluck, and Denial's just doing a good job about catching people rotating and staggered. EnVyUs, if they want to win this game, they have to play as a cohesive unit and all engage
at the same time.
I tell you what, Mas looks like a different player since going back to Denial, doesn't he? It looks like he's found his feet in the team, so at least in the Pro League, I should say. Maybe just playing with friends and having fun has been a big starting point for him. 7-1-7 in this game. He's been high on the damage charts all game long, and also you can see as well he's got that Mantle of Discord online, which just makes him even tankier on the front.
When you have a lot of experience, as EnVyUs does, there's a lot of expectations sometimes, and when you don't meet those expectations, there could be a lot of pressure onto you, and maybe that's what Mast was feeling, and that's why he wasn't comfortable. When you're playing with Shadowq specifically, who's known to be a little bit trolly here and there on his stream that we've seen, so it eases the tension when you're playing with friends, and you can make jokes during the game and just laugh about certain situations.
Well, there's no jokes from Mas right now as he's 37,000 player damage in 41 minutes. 10,000 more, 7,000 more than Vetium, who's in second place on that Chronos, who's a hyper carry in the late stages. Keep an eye on him for the rest of the game as we go, as they're looking to siege down this tier 2 on the left after taking that fire giant.
I like the anti-healing option for Denial as well. Mas picking up the Brawler speed stick. We have Benji picking up the Pestilence as well as Shadowq and his Sickening Strike. So there's a lot of anti-healing as
and
well
two
as
curses.
2 curses, yes.
It's really smart to try and pin Eonic back, but he's still done plenty himself. The siege is on his Mas, blinks to the backside, going to get the Fear No Evil off. They're looking for the pick on Kiki, and they'll find the pick on Kiki. Mas jumps away with the somersault back to safety, using the portal to his advantage. Meanwhile, the Phoenix still stands for now, as Dinala just trying to poke them down lower and lower.
Gonna stand for now, but not for much longer. The Titan room is being flooded with Fire Wave, which will allow Denial to squeeze in this left side Phoenix. Eonic might be in a little bit of trouble, taking a lot of damage from that unstable Vortex.
Omega disengages too, and that's all 3 Phoenixes down. CycloneSpin isolated, alone. Mas swings in with a monkey, finds the crit, and gives the kill over to Xenotronics. And with that, Denial, let's be honest, this was a long, hard slog of a game from Denial. Envy looks a little bit better today, but Denial still find the win.
I like the way Mast engaged in that game in the later stages, finding the blink ultis, allowing Xenotronics to throw out his through space in time, allowing Mast to disengage if he ever needed to as well.
Envy looked better though, let's be honest. They looked a lot better in that set than we've seen in the past couple of weeks. Maybe the adaptation of Omega to the jungle is starting to find things with it now. They're working on the composition. They've still got things to work on though.
They still have a little bit of things to work on, but they found their style with Omega playing, whether it's a warrior or a guardian. It's working very well for them right now.
Do you want to see maybe Cyclone head over to maybe assassins then, over in the solo lane, if we're going to see more guardians and warriors in the jungle?
If Omega is consistently going to camp his lane, then I would like to see CycloneSpin playing assassins, get him in a position to be fed early on, make those early to mid-game rotations, and play cleanup crew.